It's confirmed. Following what has been a crazy past few days surrounding Lakers reports and rumors, a brand new report has dropped revealing and confirming that a big move is incoming surrounding one particular player. We're going to break down exactly what that report is and discuss what it means going forward. This has big implications on not only the Lakers trade plans, but just the next few weeks in general. We also have a few other updates surrounding some interesting things regarding the Lakers. So a ton to go over today. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys again for continued support over here. And ladies and gentlemen, obviously yesterday was a big day for the Los Angeles Lakers. There was a bunch of moves that happened, both, rumors on the court, but of course the Jeannie Buss, big news of her selling the team and the Jeannie Buss family selling the team to Mark Walters. But we have some actual basketball news that just dropped moments ago surrounding a trade report. Now, yesterday I covered a video surrounding Walker Kessler and how things are heating up on that front. And how the Lakers are one of the front runners to land him, assuming that he does get traded from the Jazz, because the Jazz are officially shopping him. However, a brand new report just dropped minutes ago from Anthony Irwin revealing that the Lakers and the Jazz have discussed a trade centered on Rui Hachimura and John Collins. Now, some rumors came out in reports yesterday surrounding the Lakers' interest in John Collins dating back to last year's trade deadline, and how the Warriors and the Lakers were two of the teams that were trying to get both John Collins and Walker Kessler. But we're going to be focusing on John Collins for this video, and we'll have another video coming out soon. But you can see this here. Many within the organization of the Lakers believe Collins would be an especially great fit alongside Luka Doncic. Since their season ended, they've held a few conversations with the Utah Jazz to try to land the 27-year-old big man, with Rui Hachimura often the centerpiece of the deal. So this one is extremely interesting because it not only reveals that the Lakers are, extremely interested in getting John Collins, which does make some sense, and we'll dive into in a minute here, but it also reveals that the Lakers are willing and are shopping actively Rui Hachimura in any deal, which is pretty surprising considering he has started every single game for the Lakers last year that he played in. And this is pretty big news. Now, of course, John Collins, a very solid power forward. I don't know if he necessarily, he would in theory replace Rui Hachimura in the small forward spot, but you look at his stats again, he's played power forward, started 31 out of 40 games last year for the Jazz. And of course, the Jazz haven't been very good. So the stats are inflated a little bit. Put up 19 points a game for the Utah Jazz, and he's an undersized four, essentially. 19 points, 8 rebounds. He is a very good rebounder. Not a great defender, but he's a capable defender, averaging a steal and a block a game. Can shoot the three ball very well, shot 40% last season. And you can see why the executives of the Lakers think that he would fit alongside Luka really well. Good rebounder, pretty quick on his feet, very good in the pick and roll. We think back to his days in Atlanta when his best season was in 2019-2020. Of course, he was a bit younger, but he had Trae Young as his point guard for the majority of his time in Atlanta. And, their lobs were great. Their pick and roll offense was fantastic. And, of course, regarding Luka Doncic, I'm sure he'd be able to get even more out of John Collins. And I said, of course, that the stats are inflated a bit. I could see the stats actually going up with the Lakers because of LeBron, because of Austin Reaves, because of Luka Doncic, all guys that are very good playmakers, especially Luka Doncic and John Collins pick and rolls. John Collins pick and pops. Again, a great shooter. Like, the fit is pretty seamless as it pertains to, on the offensive side of the ball. Now, defensively and things like that, where would you fit him? That's the big question because, again, he is a power forward, but, Rui Hachimura, you look at the lineup, he played a lot of small forward last year, and Rui Hachimura was very, very good, and you could argue that he was better than John Collins for this Lakers team. However, this would, of course, be the first move you would assume of many. And, of course, they still need a center. I don't think John Collins is their center of the future. They could go ahead and try to play some small ball. They could go ahead and try to play some interesting styles of basketball surrounding John Collins at the 5. It's just not what it is. He's already an undersized 4, let alone, he could play the 5, I guess, if they run a really small lineup. But, again, he would be a very interesting piece, especially if you maybe package him with Walker Kessler. You get your 4 and your 5, or your backup, 4, depending on what things happen there, which, again, is possible. But you can see this here from Coach Rome. And again, the report came out yesterday that the Lakers have shown interest in John Collins as well as the Golden State Warriors. This would mean Rui is gone. There's no way to get to that salary without his. If this is true, he'd probably be the Rui replacement. Problem is, you need a true 3, not a Rui replacement. Collins is more of a big than a small forward, so this don't even sound right. And this is where I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Of course, he would be the starting 4 on the team, and then, of course, you'd run a lineup of Luka, Reaves, John Collins, whatever center you get, and then there's still a lot of holes left. You'd assume they get someone like Nick Claxton, maybe Walker Kessler, but then the small forward is still open. But again, you have Dorian Finney-Smith who can, maybe play the small forward, can play the small ball 5. There's a lot of different areas here, but it's not a seamless fit, especially because Rui and how good Rui has been this, this past few seasons for the Los Angeles Lakers. He has been very crucial to this team. Again, he started the majority of the games that he's played in for the Lakers. He's been their best 3-point shooter, and you're getting a good, they're very similar players, but Rui's more of a 3, and Collins, again, is more of a 4. And you can see this here. There's a couple different things here. So obviously Anthony Irwin doubling down, but you also see here Collins and Kessler for Rui and Knecht in a picks package. Sign me up. We're not going to be discussing the Kessler side of it today, but we will have a video on that soon. It's interesting. I think that a Kessler and Collins center deal could definitely make some sense. Of course, Rui and Knecht, is that enough? No, but you'd have to, of course, load up on the picks. And then surrounding John Collins, would the Jazz be willing to, how many picks would the Lakers have to give up? It wouldn't be the 2031 first, I don't think. You'd probably have to give up maybe a swap and some seconds. It kind of depends, because for the Jazz, if you're trading John Collins, you're obviously not trying to compete right now. So the Rui Hachimura is just for salary matching. And then for the Lakers side, how much better is John Collins compared to Rui Hachimura? Definitely a better fit, I think, in some ways, especially in the pick and roll, because Rui plays more like 3, John Collins plays more like a 4. But then in the other ways, of course, I'd argue that, Rui Hachimura fits better in some ways as well. You can see this here. Rui Hachimura, very good year last year. 13 points a game. He shot 41% from 3. Like, in theory, he's a better shooter than John Collins, but Collins is also a very good shooter in his own right. 5 rebounds, and, they do different things. Again, Rui's not a defender. He's not really a pick and roll guy at all, whereas John Collins plays more like a big man, and that's why the executives of the Lakers think that this would fit a lot better, because, of course, he's a pick and roll, used to being a big. The Lakers need a big. But then again, if you still need a center, where would he really fit in the pick and roll matchup? Of course, he can help run the bench unit as well when the center's off, depending on the matchups, all these different things. So there's a lot of things to take into account here and to consider. Ultimately, my guess would be Rui Hachimura, John Collins, and the Lakers add a little bit more on top of that, especially because, just looking at box score watching, a couple of years ago, John Collins was similar levels to Rui Hachimura in the scoring department. He had a very good year last year. They're selling him at not his peak value, because that would be, of course, a few years ago, earlier on in his career, but one of the better times to sell on John Collins. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Do you like the idea of trading Rui Hachimura in a deal for John Collins, changing up your positional values a little bit here, getting Luka Doncic a pick and roll partner, or would you rather than fully focus on the center position? A few other things to go over here. Obviously, Jeanie Buss, the big Lakers sell yesterday. You see anonymous sources with ties to the Lakers franchise love the new move. They knew what we all knew with the Buss ownership and how they wouldn't spend to win. I'm really excited. Now the Lakers will be able to spend like they should. And Brian Windhorst even doubling down and saying, I think the Lakers are only going to get more dangerous as an organization with the more resources that are theoretically here about to be poured into it. So, again, Akeshi and I covered it briefly in a video yesterday. It seems that the executives around the league, reporters, everyone believes that this obviously is good news for the Lakers. We knew that. But might even be better news than we thought, given the fact that they're willing to spend a lot of money now. They're willing to not really worry about the second apron, the luxury tax, all these different things, and just the salary. Obviously, you have a salary cap still, but being ready to blow through all the money they need to in order to make this team great. You could point back to a few moves that the Lakers skimped out on a little bit in the Jeanie Buss era, whether that be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to a degree. Of course, Alex Caruso is the big one. Whether or not they were going to be able to keep him, still up. It's kind of up in the air, but they could have if they really wanted to and paid the extra money. Of course, I'm not sure how many people thought he was going to be as good as he was with the Bulls, and then of course now the Thunder. But let me know down below what your thoughts are. A lot of new reports coming out. The sale, I guess, of the Lakers is better than we thought, but a move is on the horizon. It's confirmed the Lakers are going in for a trade here soon. Thank you guys for watching. Guys, peace. See you later.